Hello. It sounds like it's working. Oh. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this chat with the CEO and founder of Foundation, Sanket. This is an exciting one. It's a USA-based advanced robotics company developing the next generation humanoids. They deal with both enterprise customers and government customers. Interestingly as well, of all the money raised right now in this space, there's really only two companies that have a functioning robot, this being one of them. Comparing to its competitors as well, Foundation, actually humanoids run 3 shifts instead of 1. And you've seen everybody in the news right now talking about humanoids. Kathy Wood to Elon Musk are all saying that the most significant investment opportunity in the AI race is humanoids. We're going to have some visuals running on the screen, which is showing the Phantom robot at the moment. But I'll introduce Sanket here. We'll give you a quick introduction to the company, and then we'll have a couple of questions that we're going back and forth with.
Yeah. Well, again, how Gary said, we build humanoid robots, and we build dual-use humanoid robots. So we do work in defense, Air Force, Navy, Army. They're all our customers. Primarily, the work we do for them has been inspection, repair, maintenance. So a lot of logistics work that gets created that in some cases even soldiers are not doing. You have to hire contractors to do. And pretty much the same platform we sell into commercial. So car manufacturing, consumer goods manufacturing. Currently, Phantom, and this, like, the company's progressing at a very fast clip. So I started this company about 1.5 years ago. So a lot of the B-rolls to me seem pretty old. But essentially at this point, we have a full bipedal humanoid, so legs and upper torso. You're seeing the upper torso there. And it is actively deployed in auto manufacturing, doing full 3 shifts, so about 24-hour days, 5 days a week. I believe we're the only humanoid company outside of China, because it's very hard to tell what's true, what's not in China, that is actually doing 3 full shifts in production. So pretty much Foundation is the only one. The second company that's doing 1 shift per day is Figure. So in the absence of both of us, the rest of the market is trying to build like a humanoid they can deploy, but so far no one else has. So we're the only 2 companies. Now the hardware works, the software works, so a lot of our focus going forward is scaling this to larger numbers. This year we'll build about 40 robots, and then the goal is to start ramping up to hundreds in Q1, and then 1,000 and more in Q2, up to 10,000 we want to build next year.
Great. Some of the other things, so if you give us like your sort of ramp up schedule in some more details.
Yeah, I mean, so we're now finally at a position where the biggest bottleneck for the next set of breakthroughs, which is our goal is to build a robot that can by and large do anything humans can. And that is quickly becoming like a data challenge. So it's less so a hardware and software issue, it's more so do you have enough diverse data to be able to train one policy, one model that can do by and large everything you can have a human do. A big constraint to that is being able to deploy a significantly large fleet. So manufacturing is quickly becoming a big constraint. Right now, we have our first manufacturing cell that we've built in the last couple of months in San Francisco that is capable of building about 1 robot a day. So that one cell would be able to do about 400 robots every year. In parallel, we are starting to build out a factory in the US that would be much larger. At scale, that factory would be able to do 30,000 robots every year. Our goal is to produce about 10,000 robots from that factory next year. If I had 100,000 robots that were working today, we have customers who already have an aggregate demand of 100,000, so we'd be able to place them. So the biggest constraint is manufacturing and then deployment, which requires data, improving the pipeline, the software. But a lot of our focus now has been how do we really ramp this up and manufacture more of the robots that we have.
Yeah. So if I'm running a sweatshop or a factory, how much I'm paying right now for labor compared to what the economics will be
Yeah.
of the robots. If you could just explain that in some detail as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think the piece that people don't realize is slavery is not dead. It's just been transposed into capitalism. We force people to do things they don't want to do so that they can just have a roof over their head and insurance and food. We think we are going to be one of the very first companies in this industry that ends slavery for good. So I really mean that. That's not like a joke for us. So I do think all of these factories are like sweatshops. They by and large have really poor conditions that people work in, and they do very mundane tasks, 6-8 hour days with small breaks. And our goal is pretty much to replace all of that. Currently, the factories spend anywhere between $50,000 to $60,000 fully loaded just on payroll on these workers. Every single customer we work with has close to 100% turnover rate when you look at like 18, 24 months of their employment data. What that really tells us is as soon as people find these jobs, they start looking for the next job and they move on as quickly as they can. So a lot of these factories are suffering from labor shortage, a lot of attrition on a constant basis that impacts their yield. And our goal is to give them robots that are reliable, that do not need to leave. They will do full 3 shifts. We charge about $100,000 per robot per year, so we lease these robots, which is still $50,000 to $80,000 cheaper than what 3 workers would cost, because one robot's doing about 3 shifts. But those are kind of like roughly the unit economics.
Outside of enterprise, the most exciting thing people are asking me about humanoids is sort of robots being used in combat zones, wars, killer robots. Where are you guys in this, and where are your competitors?
There's no other humanoid company in the US that actually is focused on defense. So everyone else has sworn off it, and they claim it's it's a moral line they don't want to cross. From our perspective, like 2 of my co-founders both served in the military. We all know people collectively that died in the war in Iraq. One of my co-founders, Mike, was actively deployed in Iraq. So we firsthand know it is not feasible to send 19, 20-year-old men into the battlefield and expect them to die. So we've taken a different position. Our position is we actually think these robots should be tools you should hand over to the military, enable them to use them and leverage them to reduce loss of life. So far, the work we've done with defense has been infrastructure maintenance repair. After Thanksgiving, we're doing our first weaponization pilot. So with the US Army, we're essentially doing a pilot on clearing a building, which is one of the most common ways soldiers get hurt in the battlefield. And our goal is for Phantom, our humanoid robot, to just be alongside humans, be the first body in, kind of also put the detonation on the doors and all these different things. So we expect that the weaponized use cases are going to ramp up much more aggressively now, since the Chinese military parade and China demonstrating that they were very interested in automating all kind of warfare, and they had robots in those parades. The sense of urgency in the US has also increased.
So the first industries that will be adopting this, so factories, automakers, and military.
Yeah.
That is how much sort of a TAM, how many robots before you even get towards surgery or other things that Elon Musk is talking about? We're all going to live like billionaires because we're going to have these robots around us.
Yeah, I mean, just if you look at the labor workforce, you're probably looking at billions of units that need to be manufactured and actually be actively used. So on the census scale, this is probably one of the largest TAMs that would exist. It's pretty much automating labor, which right now I would argue a lot of our output in manufacturing, logistics, and also kind of where humans live and the infrastructure that's built around it is by and large labor constrained. So I don't think we're not at the top end of where the labor market would be. If you had infinite labor, we're probably like at some moderate end of the civilizational spectrum. So we think this is going to increase substantially more than what the current need is. But even if you just look at the current need, you probably have like billions of these robots that need to be built and deployed in factories to be able to achieve full automation.
How smart are these robots right now? Like, if if I'm running a factory making some type of makeup or something, and you're, at the moment, as I understand it, you put a camera on the workers, it learns visually, and you come from a background of visual computing, it learns visually what the worker is doing, and then you deploy it and teach it how to do that. What's the actual process?
So one of the big, one of the big product design principles for us from the very beginning was you cannot rely on teleoperated data, which is deploying robots, then collecting data to be able to build autonomy. You have to be able to use data that humans create. So majority of our autonomy is trained on humans actually doing the task that the robots need to do. What the robot's capable of doing today, which is pretty unique about Foundation, today we train these policies with what we call like a world model. So it's pretty much a model that the policy can use to be able to extrapolate different kinds of options, right? Like what if it did a bunch of different things, what would really happen? And it can learn by trial and error during training. But then given we have a very small and consolidated proprietary world model, it's a new model architecture that our team invented. We deploy at the time of inference, so when the robot's actually doing the action. So just like how you guys probably used ChatGPT when it was just LLMs and it would hallucinate a lot, and then you started seeing these reasoning models deployed on top of it, and now like the results are quite good. This model has pretty much the same effect. It has a physics-based reasoning that enables the action policy, which is essentially the policy that's making the robot move, quickly run through a bunch of different scenarios of what would happen if I did X or Y or Z, and based on that pick the most optimal option and then essentially just execute on it. But a lot of the focus on the AI has been around this, right? Which is how do you distill down a logic of a job into a model and then let the robot work on that model autonomously. The next iteration of this model is, can you do things that the robot's not done before? And can you do that by just verbally instructing it? We're probably like a few months away to be able to demonstrate something like that working in some scenarios, and maybe a couple of years away of it working just generally. And that's where really the goal is. It's going to be voice-to-voice reasoning. So you say something to the robot, you ask it to go and clear up a desk, and it's just going to be able to do that. And even if it's never seen that desk before, it would still be able to perform. But right now, the AI is very narrow. It is for the very specific task that the robot really needs to do, understanding the environment and the physics and the kinematics of that task really well, and just do it again and again and again, because that's what's really needed in factories and warehouses. And then the next step becomes how most people want to experience robots in their home, which is just be able to talk to it like how you would with anyone who's helping you.
So when I see like Elon talking about robots, he's talking more about one in the home that's going to walk your dog, put you to bed, things like that. Mostly what you're working on is enterprise and government, which seems a lot more sensible and realistic.
Yeah.
If even with all the money in the world, to get to the level that you've had to get to develop your own robot software and hardware, the barriers to entry, I'm guessing, are extremely difficult. And finding the labor too.
I mean, yeah, like this is not an easy challenge. Like even with Tesla, one of their biggest issues with the current robot, and I know this because we have a lot of Tesla Optimus people on our team now, is overheating. So the robot overheats quite frequently. And that's primarily because of the actuators, so the motors and gearboxes that make the robots move. The technology that Tesla's used it dissipates a lot of heat. So even something as simple as building very low friction gearboxes is years of work to be able to perfect something and make it good. So there are definitely like modes like that buy you like years, but obviously people will catch up eventually. So your biggest mode is like we just move really fast. Like we have a really good team. It's a small team. We're about like 50 to 60 people, and we're pretty much working like 6-7 day weeks, and it's a very experienced team, and we just move extremely fast and keep on making our technology better.
I see we're running out of time, but look, it's one of the most exciting spaces right now to be in.
It's the most fun I've ever had. So.
And the most fun. Is there anything sort of we can leave with just to let everybody know, like, this is coming, we all know it's coming, and it's coming quicker than we think?
I mean, this has to come because over the course of the next 30 years, we would have a big collapse in the amount of people available in the labor workforce because we have declining birth rates, and but you would still have about the same amount of people alive. So because people are living longer, healthier. So by and large, the demand would be the same, but you would have fewer people making goods and services. So to be able to actually avoid some kind of catastrophic inflation and big supply scarcity, you need to automate almost all of the manufacturing and logistics. So this thing isn't only just coming, like it has to, otherwise I think this is an existential risk.
I guess the other question I have is, it started with you putting a camera on someone's head to learn the job. Then you can talk to it about the job. Is the next move after that, it just basically merges with you?
I mean, I think that is the most benignly optimistic outcome for humanity. I think, so the things worth struggling on that I struggle with, like, I think the goods and, like, I think we can, over the course of the next 30 years, automate majority of our infrastructure and our labor. But what does that do to people and money and capital? And the only option is like a universal basic income, which just makes the government much, much more bigger and powerful, which is a scary one. But so far, the way these tools are being built, they're being built as tools for humans. But you still have a big I/O bound, which is like, I am articulating my thoughts faster in my head than I'm speaking it. But if I could just speak telepathically through my head to other robots, then I will just get significantly more amounts of work done relatively quickly. So I do think an inevitable positive outcome for humanity is you by and large are plugged into these machines and you can just talk to them and just like multi-process a bunch of different things at the same time. But I do hope that like these things are still tools versus have full autonomy where they're still following human instruction to do things.
Well, as you said, the TAM of this is huge. Billions of these robots are needed. There's 2 companies right now that actually have a functioning robot. One of them's raising money at $40 billion, and the other one is you. We're raising money right now for Foundation. We want to continue to support the company. It's one of the most exciting businesses that we've seen. You guys are visionaries in this space. Any parting thoughts?
No, you have 2 options, Handmaid's Tale or this. So like, if you want a world to survive, like this is probably the way to go.
Yeah, I think so. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.